From the main screen of the iPhone configuration utility, highlight Configuration Profiles. To create a new profile, click the New button in the toolbar located at the top. In the General Settings, you will go ahead and create a name for the profile. The name you specify appears in the Profiles list and is displayed on the device after the configuration profile is installed. The name doesn't have to be unique, but you should use a descriptive name that identifies the profile. The profile identifier must uniquely identify this profile and must use the format com.companyname.identifier, where the identifier describes the profile. For example, com.abccompany.homenetwork. The identifier is important because when a profile is installed, the value is compared with profiles that are already on the device. In the next box, you will simply go ahead and write the name of the organization for the profile. Next, you will type in a description for the profile, and then we're going to move to the passcode settings. From the left-hand pane, select Passcode. Once the Configure Passcode Policy box pops up, go ahead and click the Configure button. Here you can specify whether a passcode is required on the device, as well as specify characteristics of the passcode and how often it must be changed. Go ahead and click on the Require Passcode on Device. Allow Simple Value permits users to use sequential or repeated characters in their passcodes. Require Alphanumeric Value requires that the passcode contain at least one letter character. Minimum passcode length specifies the smallest number of characters a passcode can contain. Minimum number of complex characters. This is the number of non-alphanumeric characters that the passcode must contain. Maximum passcode age. This requires users to change their passcode at the day interval you specify. If you want to set an auto lock in the box underneath, this will lock the device if it isn't used for a period of time. It automatically locks. Entering in the passcode unlocks it. Passcode history. A new passcode won't be accepted if it matches a previously used passcode. You can specify here how many previous passcodes are remembered for this comparison. Grace period for device lock. This specifies how soon the device can be unlocked again after use without re-prompting for the passcode. Maximum number of failed attempts. This will determine how many failed passcode attempts can be made before the device is wiped. We will now move on to the restriction settings. Simply click the restrictions box on the left-hand side of your window. Once you are in the Configure Restrictions window, go ahead and click the Configure button. In here, we will use this to specify which device features the user is allowed to use. In the first section of the restrictions box, you will find the device functionality, which will enable the use of device features for the user. In this example, I'm going to disallow the use of a camera. To do this, simply uncheck the Allow Use of Camera box. In the next section, you will see the Applications list. This enables access to applications on the device. In this example, I am going to turn off the Allow Use of YouTube. I am also going to uncheck the Allow Use of iTunes Music Store. For this demo, I am also going to uncheck the Allow Explicit Music and Podcasts. We are now going to go and configure the Wi-Fi settings for this profile. Simply click the Wi-Fi configuration box on the left-hand side. In the Configure Wi-Fi window, click the Configure button to be brought into the Wi-Fi settings. You are going to use the Wi-Fi settings to set how the device connects to your wireless network. You can add multiple network configurations by clicking the Add button in the top right of the editing pane. These settings must be specified and must match the requirements of your network in order for the user to initiate a connection. You are going to enter the SSID of the wireless network to connect to, and then specify whether the network is broadcasting its identity. Under the security type, select an authentication method for the network. If a password is required to join to this wireless network, go ahead and enter it in the password box. If you leave this blank, the user will be asked to enter it themselves. Next, we're going to go to the VPN settings, simply by highlighting on the VPN option on the left-hand side of the screen. Once you are in the Configure VPN settings, simply hit the Configure button to see a list of options. Use this setting to enter the VPN settings for connecting to your network. You can add multiple sets of VPN connections by clicking the Add button in the Edit screen on the top right. The first step you will want to do is enter in the connection name. This will be the display name of the connection to be displayed on the device. After the connection name has been configured, go ahead and select the connection type, the host name or IP address for the VPN server, the user account for authenticating the connection, and the type of user authentication. Depending on what you select here, the user will be prompted for their password. Next, we will go to the email settings. Simply click on the email on the left-hand side of the pane. Once inside the Configure Email policy, go ahead and click the Configure button. Use this payload to configure POP or IMAP mail accounts for the user. If you're adding an Exchange account, that will be in the next payload section. Go ahead and enter in a description of the account. For example, personal email. Continue with the setup of the email account by entering in the user display name, the email address, the mail server and port, and any other settings that will pertain to your particular email account. Next, we are going to go into the Exchange Active Sync setup. Simply click on the Exchange Active Sync on the left-hand side of the pane. Once you are in the Configure Exchange Active Sync, simply click on the Configure button to get into the settings. Use this payload to enter the user settings for your Exchange server. You can create a profile for a specific user by specifying the username, the host name, and email address, or you can provide just the host name and the users are prompted to fill in the other values when they install the profile. If you specify the username, host name, and SSL setting in the profile, the user cannot change these settings on the device. You can configure only one Exchange account per device. Other email accounts, including any Exchange via IMAP accounts, aren't affected when you add an Exchange account. Exchange accounts that are added using a profile are deleted when the profile is removed and can't be otherwise deleted. By default, Exchange syncs contacts, calendar, and email. The user can change these settings on the device, including how many days worth of data to sync. If you select the Use SSL option, be sure to add the certificates necessary to authenticate the connection using the Credentials pane. After you've created a profile, you can connect a device and install the profile using the iPhone configuration utility. Alternatively, you can distribute the profile to users by email or by posting it to a website. When users use their device to open an email message or download the profile from the web, they're prompted to start the installation process. Thank you.